Thank you very much, Cello, for accommodating us. SAMSA was appointed by Memorandum of Understanding of the Department of Transport to be the testing authority of the Telkom-SA coastal radio service that they offer the vessels, both local and international. They have to provide emergency services. The contract is actually called the MSI, Maritime Safety Information Services, where weather bulletins, distress messages, urgency messages, navigational messages of all kinds are exchanged daily and broadcasted to the seafarers for their own safety and their vessels, of course. So we are upgrading the service to a sea area A1 and A3, which is in terms of the IMO, the VHF services and the longer distance HF and satellite communication services. The IMO is in a process of modernizing their global maritime distress and safety system, and I think our timing is appropriate to do the same for South Africa. It's a very long-term project with lots of challenges, but we've overcome them over the years. So then, by agreement, the MOU was signed, and we set out with the Telkom-SA staff personnel from Cape Town Radio to do these tests. We wanted these tests to be as accurate and infallible as possible, humanly possible, I might add. We're all human, and they have had to supply us with accurate test equipment. They were actually taking the tests in conjunction with us. We were verifying the tests, and it was a very successful operation. We had to verify close inshore communications and further distances up to 30 nautical miles. Sometimes we had to steer out to 50 nautical miles seawards to get hourly readings from each and every site that we tested from, and each and every system on the site that we tested. It was very successful. It was a very positive outcome. The report has been submitted to the Department of Transport, and of course copied in with all our hierarchy to the top. They also have to be on board when this is actually submitted at some stage in the future to the IMO to upgrade the systems.
And just how long exactly did this take you?
It took us 15 days, some 2,300 nautical miles, some 2,600 individual tests that we did.
Wow. How often do these kind of tests get done?
These tests are normally done when you have a change in your communication systems, when you have, like we are upgrading, or when there are queries about radio coverage and even satellite coverages. As you can understand, this needs to be available 24/7, 365 to be able to receive the distresses, urgencies, safety, all safety related matters that might be needed out there by the vessels.
Of course, this provided an opportunity outside of the actual test that you were doing to take along with some young cadets that are receiving training under SAMSA. Tell me a little bit about that.
That was to us such a good spin on the top of what we were going to do. We were looking forward to a very boring, every hour taking readings around the coast, and then we encountered 48 cadets in training with training officers, and everybody was so accommodating of our purpose. And I think we actually learned a little from all this, as well as some of us were old hands, and we had one young chap, a radio surveyor from Cape Town, who will have to carry this forward in the future, because there will be more of these tests required. These cadets were very fortunate, and I think they took it with both hands. I can't talk too much about the engineering cadets, but the navigational side on the bridge I witnessed myself, especially with the midnight a watch coming on, all you have to do really is look at your instruments around you, read them, interpret, plot and navigate the vessel. Under the good supervision of the chief and second mate, I think they kept them in line quite well, and they had tasks when their watch finishes. They had to go to their cabins and continue working. And this was also recorded as sea time for them, so they got their book signed. I think it was fantastic.
Obviously, this is a dedicated training vessel now, which used to be a specialist research vessel. So I guess there is no surprise in terms of the involvement of the cadet training during this mission. But in your own perspective, looking at this vessel, looking at the fact that it was retired at one point, just how good is it still to actually still be out at sea?
So we had a 98 gusts, 98 knot gust winds there to the south of Port St. John's, and the 38 to 45 knots. That is the wild coast. I don't call it the wild coast for nothing. And any ship will roll, and any ship will pitch. And I was impressed. Yes, we rolled and pitched, but it was tolerable, if I can use that word, for us guys. Some of us forgot our sea legs already the last time we went to sea, and it was a very, very stable. And I heard from some of the officers, especially the one I worked with at midnight, that you know, some of the scientists still prefer the old SA Agulhas, this one that we're talking about, because of its handling the sea better. Now I can't talk about this, but this is hearsay from the people. So just to give you an idea, I think it will be around for a while.
We still have a few years
yes,
to take off.
Yes, definitely.
You mentioned old hands. You've been around for a while. As I understand it, you've got about 46 years under the belt. Just where exactly did this start for you?
It started in a little post office in a Transkei town called Indwe. And I was recruited by the postmaster for the coastal radio service. I did not know what this involved, and I was sent off to Cape Town packing on the train, go and do your 12-month training, and from there it evolved to ending up at the Cape Technicon and at CPUT, and you know, all the training that went on that. And then suddenly I found myself on some small vessels doing this type of things at sea. The first few on smaller vessels went very hectic, very seasick, broken equipment. So hence this time for this important test we decided to do a bit more, go on a bigger ship with more stable situations where you can get more out of the test equipment and less damage to the body and to the equipment. So yeah, it was quite a turn. Those days we did it from the Post and Telecoms, then we went to Department of Communications, then we went to Telkom, then we ended up in an institution that was called the South African Telecommunication Regulatory Authority. That was combined and formed the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, ICASA, and eventually they decided that the mariners don't belong there. We did a unique dynamic transfer across to SAMSA, and here we are today. There's about 3 of us left. The youngsters are coming in, we're very happy to say that. We have 3 new, young, very capable radio surveyors that could carry this forward for many, many years to come.
How has the industry transformed, or rather, let me rephrase that, how has this specific area of the operation, in as far as shipping and boating and all that is concerned, given the advances in technology, has there been a giant leap, or are things gradually improving and changing?
The first giant leap we did was in 1991 when the authorities, being the IMO and the Department of Transport Marine Division, decided to abolish Morse code. Up to then everything was still hinged on Morse code and radio telex. The new digital era started then. It was relatively slow in developing into new modernized technologies up till about 2010, 2012, when the IMO decided to modernize the whole system, and they're still busy modernizing it, and I think we will see the result of all these years of testing and approving and hashing every document through and every test through. It will start showing in 2023. This coastal system that we have just tested and audited was put out to be able to integrate into the new technologies. So we will see. I won't be here then. They will be youngsters. They've had their first exposure to this type of thing, and hopefully it will be eventually just like a cell phone that you can just text things. It's already sort of there, and it's a discussion point. Some distress messages are received by text. So they have to incorporate all these things and bring them together and put them on a platform where the seafarer has got, like us on land, or say us on land, that they can also just WhatsApp somebody perhaps from the middle of the ocean, not to use a system that is so expensive that you cannot use it. And it's all about cost and maintenance and new technologies. So I would say from when did I start working? Long ago till now, we have now made a final giant leap. Wow. Yes, I would say.
And so, would it eliminate stories? I will quickly relate to you. There is a story that I came across with where there was this radio interview. This one ship is at sea and the radio controller is somewhere, and this other guy goes, "Mayday, mayday, we are sinking. Mayday, mayday, we are sinking." And port control comes back and says, "Hello, what are you sinking about?"
I know this video clip very well. It's been around a long time, and it highlights the possibility how quickly things can be interpreted incorrectly. So internationally and nationally, we have to use the same phrases, the same methods, in a certain procedure, in a certain manner, so that everybody understands, or everybody understand when this comes out into the open that this guy is sinking, he's not thinking. So yes, I think they've taken great big strides to overcome that. There's still some severe challenges though.
Artificial intelligence is coming into the picture, and I see. How has that begun to impact this area of the operation?
There is a positive and a negative, I think, but I'm not an authority to talk about it. Artificial intelligence can maybe interpreted incorrectly. It can also bring forth good information for the seafarer. So I think I'll stay with that statement, so I don't want to hang myself out there.
Okay, that's great. Okay, just to wrap up, you keep saying that you won't be around, which then means that you're near at the end of your working career. How has it been? How have you found it? I know you've enjoyed it, but surely there must have been times when you thought, maybe I should be doing this. How has it been?
Yes, every career I think has its moments of absolute being marvelous, and then it has the moments where you think, what am I doing here? I shouldn't be here, I should be elsewhere. But you know, we have to take these challenges head on, and we have to work with them, through them, over them, round them. I don't think round them is the solution, through them is the better one. And there were time spans in my career where I really thought of leaving, but it never got to it. I think the passion for the work was maybe a bit too high to just walk out the door and say, I'm finished with this, I'm going for something else. but they were very challenging times.
And can you think of any specific incidents that you possibly would want to share where things were not quite the way they should be, or where you were surprised by how just fine this line of work is?
Yes, we started this project in 2008, and going through this project there were moments that it looked like this is going to never ever going to be coming into being or going to be finalized. I had an experience where money was put ahead of safety of life. I was very unpopular in the way I addressed this by the CFOs of then, but I think it brought the whole thing together. I had good backing around the committees that we serve on. So one has to sometimes bring this out to the money counters. I'm not going to use the other word, it's not respectful enough, where you have to tell them, look, you cannot buy a life. You have to save a life all the time. And sometimes money, yes, the tender is massive, the money is big. I'm not a money person, and my eyes were doing the squigglies when I saw the figures on that we have to deal with. But sometimes you have to do this, and also try and save cost. We managed to save some cost, but we didn't manage to get to such a low level that we could all smile. But the system is coming into being, it's being implemented. It will shortly, say over the next 2 years, become very active and become international. So that was my biggest stumbling block in this 10-year road that we've embarked on, and we're sort of over the top. I think we're going to plane out shortly.
That's great. At a personal level, people play sports. I know some of your colleagues, we had a chat about this some weeks back. Captain Campbell, for example, is a golf player. At least that's what he says. I've yet to play a hole with him. How has this impacted your life? I'm talking about the career now. Are you a sports person at all? What sports are you engaged in? And
you have to have an outlet, and for about, I'd say 15-20 years I was an active dog sport competitor with German Shepherd dogs, doing the sport called IPO, which is a sport containing 3 disciplines, which is obedience, tracking and defense work. And to bring these 3 disciplines together in a dog really takes a lot of patience. So I think maybe this taught me some patience to bring to the work. Now lately I'm a little bit, took a back step of that because of time constraints, and I do more 4x4, and I find that the mechanical component is a bit more tolerant than a dog to do what I have to do. Yes, you have to have an outlet, and I learned from that outlet as well.
You've mentioned to me that you are a married person. I assume that there are kids?
I have had the bad fortune of no kids, but we've tried to make up by other means and other things, and investing in some other people's kids and so forth, you know. So one has to make amends. So we've done that, yes.
No, look, I was in the way. But yeah, I think it's. I think what we're trying to achieve by going, you know, full round, looking at the work and personal, is even for young people out there who may be looking forward or wanting to, you know, join you and learn a lot from you. They must have an idea that this is about people and not machines. These are the kind of people that are here, and these are the kind of experiences that they go through, and here they are still, Yeah. So I think the line of question was more about that.
I'm surprised you know so much and ask such a broad round of questions. No, I think you've covered everything.
That's
Thank you
wonderful.
very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.